Hello, everyone. Welcome. Happy Friday. Friday. I feel like I was just on here saying Monday, welcome back from the weekend. But we're here on Friday. We've got a great Friday gang lineup with some interesting topics to discuss. Let me introduce you to these interesting people. We've got, if you've watched the gang, they're regulars here. We've got the one and only Ira Winkler. We've got Fred Wilmot, Mr. CISO. Well, actually, he's multi-time CISO, but now founder of his own company. Fred? Well, we'll come back to you. We'll give you a chance to plug that. And our marketing person extraordinaire, Lisa Martin, as well as the Dean, still licking his wounds over yet another Yankee loss, Mike Vizard. Gang, welcome. So, Fred, before we go further, we got Black Hat coming up. Ira, I thought you said you may not be making it to Black Hat this year, right? Or have plans changed?
Not sure. It's like 50-50, I think, at the moment.
All right, we're gonna wait. We'll give you more time. But Fred, you're going to be there, and your company is
the tech team. Yeah. So what we're going to be doing there is really focused hard on some of the things we're going to talk about a little bit today. But what we do is we take and transform the static sort of expert-driven behaviors of trying to write detections over a long period of time at large companies and small companies, and democratize that and automate that and bring some of the continuous automation behind a development lifecycle to detection engineering. So what used to take 3 or 4 weeks to figure out how to write stuff for this brand new ransomware kind of example, we can generate data that tests whether or not your infrastructure is prepared for that today, and then generate detections and push them for you, in 20 minutes. So the intent there is really buying down the risk.
Cool. Hey, I like to let people know, they could go look you up online, but what the heck? Anyway, thank you for that. Mike, another announcement from the talking heads at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. They want to usher in a golden age.
On the face of it, you might find that there's a lot to like here. On one hand, they are saying that they're going to get rid of some of the regulatory hurdles that prevent us from building the data centers that we need for AI. They are talking about making investments with strategic AI partners. So, we're all going to kind of benefit from that. Maybe there'll be more choices for GPUs and AI accelerators. On the face of it, at least, there's a lot of things in here that sound like things that the IT community wants. I mean, you get this whole, as you read it, you get this whole, USA chant going with it. I got my little flag here, the whole 9 yards.
Nice.
But
they call that a prop in the business, but go ahead.
But there are concerning things in here. It does seem to be very much America first and a little light on security and almost no concern for environmental impact. But Alan, what's your take on what's going on here? Maybe what is the role of the government in all this AI stuff?
I could sum it up. What is it? What's the song about fools rush in where wise men tread fair to tread? It's not a song, but it's a saying. Wise men fear to tread where fools rush in. Who's the fools? And
I think that might be an old Ben Franklin thing, I think.
Okay, we'll go with Ben Franklin. He was a wise man. But clearly, look, there's a lot to like, there's a lot not to like. Are we going to build AI data centers at the expense of clean water, clean air, faulty, are we going back to Love Canal? Damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead. We've got to leave our children a world, I hope. Number one. Number two, you know what? Frankly, I'm so jaded and callous to these announcements where everyone's coming up and bending knee and supposedly opening a checkbook and telling us about how much they're going to spend on these AI factories. And then the third thing is, the more we play with AI, the more we hear and see things going on, the more convinced than ever I am, and I agree with Ira on this, we got to build security in here, man. We can't afford to do the usual. We'll worry about security later, because this is it's going to wind up not good. And then the other thing is, you can't make wine before it's time. I think the promise of AI is phenomenal, but it's going to take time to develop, to evolve, to be used, to be refined, and get to where we want it to be. Rushing headlong in here like bulls in a china shop, I just don't think, I'm not sure it's the right thing. I don't think you could have a golden age till it has an age.
Well, Alan, could I? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Ira.
So here's the problem. So there were a few things I saw in the bill, like, oh, we're going to rush out data centers. In the first place, there's just so many places you can put data centers, and then you have the not in my backyard thing, where everybody says we don't want regulation, and okay, so we're going to take away some of the regulation to put it, because really what these are football, it's like the old days of the NSA has football fields worth of supercomputers or something in the
Ira, they're not football fields. They want to build them the size of Manhattan.
Oh, no, I understand, but then you have to figure where can they actually put them? And when you figure where they can put them, frankly, you're talking about places like the middle of nowhere, like in
flyover stand.
Flyover stand. And that comes up to issue number one. Then the people are going to be like, okay, not in my backyard. Because, in some places, I'm not going to argue whether windmills are good or bad, but some people don't want windmills. Some people love them because it makes great use of increases their property values in flyover stand. But then the next thing that's kind of concerning is this rhetoric of, oh, we're not going to have woke AI. That's AI, again, is mathematics, and people lose track of that. And how the AI handles facts sometimes. People don't like the facts. Like Grok was too woke, so they made Grok a Nazi. And, you have to start to look at, okay, I think that's a lot of rhetoric where people are just going to develop the math that they do. And then at the same time, the one thing that keeps coming back to me is we're building these data centers, and we're missing a buzzword. I hate buzzwords, but we have AI as a buzzword. The one buzzword that we're failing to look at is quantum computing. And the reason I say this is going to be an issue is, yes, you need lots of computing power to process all the data going into AI algorithms. But once we get quantum computing, which give or take is 5-6 years away, we're not going to need Central Park's worth of computing power. We're going to have much more computing power in a little bit of things. So we're going to start to develop these data centers that are going to be obsolete in a few years should quantum computing hit its prime. And so
I don't disagree. So, Ira, let me just paraphrase one of the points you made, which is, and it goes to Mike's America First thing. In one hand, they're saying you can have all these things, but with it comes handcuffs. With it comes conditions that it's got to be America first, that it's got to be U.S., that it's got to be under the subject. You're going to be subject to whether someone wakes up with a feather up their butt and decides you're not allowed to do business with someone because they're prosecuting a former dictator or something. That's not, we don't need those kinds of strings. We don't need, this is America, right? We need a private-public partnership, but we don't need government-controlled AI.
I'm not really sure about the quantum argument because we are building a massive data center in Poughkeepsie with IBM for quantum computing. It'll take a few years to build, but it's big. It's not just a smaller thing. Maybe it's smaller than the size of Manhattan, but it's still going to need a lot of data centers for both. Lisa, though, I wanted to get your opinion here because a lot of this, as Alan pointed out, traces back to this Valley vibe, which says go fast and break things. And in the case of AI, it seems like the risk of breaking things is really high. And, it's not about the fact that I just broke an application and it was unavailable for an hour.
So I look at this from a marketing message perspective, and I try to look at it neutrally without some of the obvious concerns. I was just watching the news a half an hour ago about all the woke AI and doesn't like the term artificial, and I just thought that's just nonsense. But if I look at it from a marketing message perspective, what I heard was, okay, there's an action plan in an effort because what the White House wants is the U.S. to remain a leader in the AI industry, this golden age. And I heard investing in AI R&D, building an AI talent pipeline. We've been talking for weeks about the AI talent wars, promoting AI adoption across industries. And I thought what I didn't hear was collaboration. I didn't hear security. You bring up a great point. I didn't hear quantum. I wasn't listening for it, but you bring up a great point that we didn't hear about that. But I just think, what's the alternative? If the message is, okay, the future of AI is now, you got to join the golden age of innovation and growth, and we've got to invest in R&D, we've got to develop talent and adopt technologies to stay ahead of the curve. What's the alternative? I didn't hear that, but I also didn't hear collaboration, and that's going to be absolutely critical for us to be successful in a safe and secure way.
I agree with you. I mean, look, I'm hearing friends leaving CISA who, the security aspect of this is just getting scarier. I'm not saying we're going to have Skynet that decides to destroy all carbon-based life forms, right, out of Star Trek or something, Voyager. But, I mean, the damage it can do,
So, to your point, though, I mean, I guess this was positioned as, the U.S. has an industrial policy as it applies to AI, but I don't feel like this is a policy as much as it is just kind of an invitation to not have a policy, maybe.
Yeah, it's like everything else that this administration does. It's a PR kind of front, and when you go past that first inch, it's kind of all murky TBDs. That's it.
Not a lot of depth.
Yeah, no, well, they don't call him Shallow Hal Taco for nothing. All right. I don't have anything else to say.
I was just wondering if maybe they used AI to write the 90-point plan. What do you think?
They do that.
Yeah, it'll be like, I'm sure there are a few hallucinations in there, but I mean, I understand all the concern, but I mean, there's just so much rhetoric. It's just going to go on for so long to build these data centers anyway that, it's like, the goals in there that sound authoritarian is the word.
Right.
I just don't. I mean, maybe I'm too naive on this, but it's just, I don't expect much ability for them to follow up on some of those other lofty goals. I mean, it sounds good. They're going to build lots of data, maybe they'll build the data centers. You still need to come up with billions of dollars for it. The government's not doing it. So private industry is going to do it. And, frankly,
that sounds like Mexico's building the wall, and they didn't.
Well,
Mexico's
yeah, that's the wall. The point. I still expect Saudi Arabia to put the data centers in their desert, not our desert. Yeah, and that's what I think would more likely happen with data centers. Because the good or bad about AI data centers is you want the results. You don't care where the results theoretically you should care who's making the results. But if the results are coming from Saudi Arabia, it takes an extra quarter of a second to get here.
Yeah.
And so if they're going to build these large data centers somewhere else, because you can say what you want, but it's expensive to build.
I know, but we live in an age of IT sovereignty. They want everything here, and as a result of that, other people are saying, if that's where it's going to be, I want my stuff in my place too. I mean, globalism as we knew it is dying.
Well, there's globalism. but there's business. And the one thing, frankly, is you could say what you want, but these people are going to go for I mean, how many hundreds of billions of dollars were supposed to flow into the U.S. that were big campaign statements and ended? And I'll leave it and never happened.
Agreed. It's the usual BS that comes out of there. We're overtime on this though, guys. Let's pull.
Last thing on this one thing is be wary of real estate scams, right? Because a lot of this is going to wind up being a real estate scam.
Yeah, wouldn't be the first time. All right, let's take a break here on The Gang. We're going to come back and talk about fan experience reimagined. That sounds uplifting. You're watching Tech Strong Gang.